Hello, and welcome to Staring into the Abyss. I'm your host, Richard Gerlach, and do you hear those bells in the distance? You only mean one thing. Krampus is near with his bad kid basket and his stick.
His mighty
His
stick.
mighty stick. And with me, as always, is Matt Brandenburg.
I just those bells, they've been ringing forever in my head. They're just driving me batty.
Did Krampus hit you with a stick when you were a bad little boy one year?
Somebody hit me with a stick.
And with us, as always, to round out the year is Vitlame Mist.
Guys, I'm hiding under the bed because Grilla is coming.
Uh-oh. Wait, who's Grilla?
Uh-oh.
I cannot roll my L's.
You cannot do it?
I can't do it.
Grilla.
Grilla.
Grilla. I can't do it.
Okay, so you guys have Krampus. We have Grilla. Grilla is the ogre? Yeah, it's kind of a troll mother of the 13 Yule lads.
13 of them?
We have 13? Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. They used to be bad because they were sons of a troll. They used to do a lot of mischief and just really, really fuck up farmers in Iceland.
Agriculture.
Yeah. They were like, "Oh, you want to survive this winter? Fuck no." So, but when they were introduced, I think it was after World War II, they were introduced to Saint Nick, of course.
Oh yeah.
And after that, they became good. So every for 13 days till Christmas Eve, they will come down from the mountains and bring little gifts to put in the shoe if you leave a shoe on the window.
Aww.
For all well-behaved children, but if you're bad, you get a potato.
I would be down for a potato.
Right? It doesn't work anymore. People are like, yeah, potatoes are amazing. It's food. But like at that time, food was scarce, and if you didn't have potato, you got a rock.
Oh, fair. There's not a lot you can do with the rock.
Yeah. So with Grilla is our boogeyman.
Oh.
It's like she is a huge ass troll woman. Like she is like bigger than my apartment complex. She kind of looks like a female version of the devil if he was wearing like 19th century Icelandic clothes.
Okay, nice.
Like she has like hoofs for feet. She has the tail. She looks really, really old and just gigantic and mean. And she would always come down to from the mountains during this year to grab children and eat them up. Like she would make stew out of them.
Ooh.
Yum.
Good. With the potatoes?
Of course. And turnips and carrots. The only thing that fucking grows here.
Now,
any salt and pepper add some flavoring to the soup?
Maybe salt. What's pepper?
What's pepper? What this meeting between Saint Nicholas and the 13 after World War II, you said, or World War I?
Yeah, I think it's when the British and the Americans came to Iceland during World War II.
So they like had this meeting, like they moderated this meeting.
Well, not meeting? No.
You said it was a meeting.
When you say meeting, you mean like they invaded us?
No, I'm talking about the troll. The troll kid.
No,
I'm not talking about.
No, it was more like, when like the Americans, they came over, of course, with a lot of chocolate and bubble like chewing gum and stuff, and and some of them stayed around Christmas. And that's when they kind of like introduced the Icelanders to their version of Santa Claus.
I see. More of a tragic story than my magical whimsy story.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Them all sitting around in a boardroom.
Yeah, no. No, I think it was also like they were like, because Iceland was becoming more modernized, they were like, the farmer thing is not really it's not good anymore. So let's maybe make them good.
Okay, I get it. All right. Well, in my head, I'll imagine a very interesting meeting with Saint Nicholas and the 13. So
Same. That could be a story. Saint Nicholas versus the 13.
But
He
he
wouldn't
doesn't
stand
kill
a
him.
chance.
He doesn't kill him. He's such a good debater and like talker that he just talks them all into goodness. But it's like a very
Hey Matt.
yeah.
Hey Matt. Would you say he's a master debater?
Oh.
He just that was his only tactic in front of the 13 was just to masturbate in front of them. And they're like, this dude's nuts. All right, let's do it.
This dude's throwing ropes left and right. Let's go.
Let's start giving people potatoes. Oh, I love this. This is good. This is way better than yeah. This is good.
Well, today
people are like, what are we listening to?
Monumental day. We're talking about Santa Claus masturbating on the last Abyss episode of the year.
Makes sense.
It does. We're very mature and serious people in this podcast. Especially Matt.
Oh yeah,
Especially
I'm
Matt.
super mature.
So we decided for our last episode of the year, we'd like to kind of take some of our favorite things that we've either read, seen, watched, or discussed this year. And maybe some of them might not have been discussed on the podcast. Maybe they have, but it's just some things that we've really enjoyed this year we want to kind of share with you. And hopefully you find enjoyment out of them as well.
Yeah.
So my first thing is, I think I might have talked about this game once on the podcast, and then I kind of didn't really follow up. But I got to say, there's 2 games on Steam. Fear and Hunger, and then Fear and Hunger 2 Termina. And these are some of the best horror games I've ever played.
Wait.
Nice.
Let's just say, like, the title is called Fear and Hunger.
Fear and Hunger, yes.
Okay. I'm thinking of a completely different game.
What are you thinking of?
Fear? It's like
no. The first person
yeah.
the first person shooter with the ghosts and stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good game too, and it's pretty spooky. But no, it's not these. These are made using RPG Maker.
Oh, okay.
But they're not really. If you try to play them like they're an RPG, you're gonna die. I mean, you're gonna die every time you play these games, no matter what, because they're fucking hard. But if you look at it, it's like, oh, this looks like a JRPG. I know how to play JRPGs. You're gonna die. The games are more. I'd compare them a bit more to like Dark Souls or to like an immersive sim, where both games have different stories. But pretty much at the start of the game, you choose your character. You're given your character's backstory. Choices you make in the backstory determine what kind of traits your character has and starting items your character has. And in Fear and Hunger 1, you're given a mission. And your mission is to find this soldier who's gotten lost in this like big dungeon. And your first mission is to find him. And once you find him, you can go back and end the game there. Or you can continue further on deeper to the dungeon that sends you into a world full of gods, like elder gods, like eldritch beings, who look over these puny, insignificant humans and kind of get involved in more like cosmic horror shit that's going on around you. And these games are fucked up. like they're fucked up. Like, I will say this, especially for Fear and Hunger 1, the creator did not have this as heavily in 2. But in the first one, if sexual assault is a trigger for you, Fear and Hunger 1 I'd avoid, because there's quite a bit of it in the first game. In the second game, the creator took feedback with the people saying, hey, listen, if you want to include this in the game, either give us a warning or let people turn it off if they want to.
Yeah.
Because all this, like, one of the sexual assault scenes, for example, is like the first enemy you come across in the dungeon in the first game is this giant ogre with a giant penis that's hanging out.
Nice.
And if he beats you, it cuts to a scene of him raping you, your character.
God.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the
In
hell?
in the second game, they cut it out. They like, okay, the creator heard the feedback, was like, no more. I'm done. But part of it was to kind of, his point of it was to show you like how just unforgiving the world you're playing in is. That was kind of his point with that. But a bunch of players were like, listen, we love the game. We love everything else about this game, but this one part. And the creator's like, okay, feedback heard. Or like, there's one character that's called Pocket Cat. And every time the character like is fighting your party, it just mentions him staring at your members and then rubbing his crotch.
Oh my god.
And
Okay.
like he's in the second game too, but like he's more of like this weird kind of sinister character. But like the whole games is just like this twisted take on like medieval Europe. The second game I think is better than the first one. If you play them both back to back and you get the trend in the first game, you kind of pick up some Easter eggs in the second game, but it's not necessary. You can play the second game without playing the first game, no problem at all. In the second game, your characters are on a train, and it takes place in what seems to be like post World War I Europe inspired worlds. And your characters are on a train, and they all have this dream, and this dream gets super cosmic horror-y, and they get off the train, and they're told there's 3 days until the Lunar Festival. And then nothing else is explained to them, but just it's 3 days until the Lunar Festival. What they've stumbled across is a death game. And everybody in this town is murdering each other and murdering any visitors. And the last survivor after day 3 is the winner of the festival.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
And the rest of the game is you exploring this fucked up town and this fucked up ritual and these fucked up gods these people believe in. And like, or I should say believe in because they're real in the world of the game, and how it kind of influences everything around your character and around your actions and around what's going on.
That sounds kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot less rape than the first game has. I will add to the end there. I will say, like, I'm serious. If the first game, if that's an issue for you, skip it. You don't need to play it. The second game's better, and it works fine without playing the first game. But if you want to experience the Easter eggs and see the whole world of both of them, I'd recommend playing both. They're both a really good challenge. They're both really fucked up. And if you like kind of like cosmic horror and eldritch gods and all that weird shit, like this game has that by the gallons, and it is beautiful. One of my favorites is like in the first game, you can be a necromancer, and every time you come across a skeleton, you can revive the skeleton, and you can make a party full of skeletons that follow you around.
That's awesome.
But I will say this: reviving a skeleton is a coin flip. Oh, I should say this as well. One of the features of the game is every time there's a big choice, there's a coin flip. And if the coin lands on heads, it's successful. If the coin lands on tails, it's not successful. And if you try to revive a skeleton and you're not successful, the skeleton attacks you. And in both games, when you're in combat, let's say the enemy has a sword, and the enemy, and in these games, when you're fighting in combat, you choose enemy limbs to attack. So it's not just you attack the enemy, you choose what limbs to attack. And every enemy limb has their own turn.
Oh.
So it's not just one turn per enemy, it's one turn per limb this enemy has. So what your goal is you want to strategically figure out, okay, the right arm has a sword, so that should be my first target. Because if you hit their limb with a sword, it cuts their limb off. So if you target their right arm, they lose their sword, but they can still punch you with their other arm. But let's say let's say they attack you with that sword, you lose your arm, and you can't get your arm back. Once your character's crippled for the rest of the game, unless you come across an event that can heal your character's limbs back. So like battles are very strategic of like, okay, what parts do I have to target first to make sure I don't get fucked up too bad? And it goes on from there. It's a good game. It's just very challenging. And if the challenge kind of puts you off, I'd say stay clear. The game does get easier once you understand its systems, but it doesn't explain its systems to you. You kind of learn through trial by fire. Like the first time I played the game, I spent an hour trying to play it like an RPG, and I kept dying. And I'm like, okay, I'm obviously approaching this wrong. What can I do? What can I do differently? And then once you realize, okay, the systems are very open, it makes it a bit easier to kind of go through everything, but it's a learning process to get there. But I will say, if you're interested in cosmic horror and fucked up JRPGs and a unique take on just kind of cosmic horror in general, I would highly recommend these games.
Cool.
But just a warning, they are very fucked up. I have more, but Matt, what's one thing you'd like to talk about for the year?
Yeah, so I think this year, one of the things that I really enjoyed, and this is partly due to Nicole Cushing, so you can thank her for that, is reading bizarre, like Eastern European fiction and just outside of US. And so like just discovering this, like these bizarre literature kind of things from way back, 1600s on up, has just been amazing. So like I read Ferdy Dirk this year by Witold Gam something or other. I can never pronounce his last name, but it was just this like, I think it was like in the 1700s, and it's just this crazy story about this person that like he's an adult, but then they start treating him like a kid, and he has to do all this like really weird kid stuff, and it's just completely out there and bizarre, and it's just a blast. Or like reading the Palm Wine Drinkard, which is this like African story about this guy who needs the person that was tapping all the palm trees that were giving him this drink that made him crazy, like died. So this guy goes to it's basically like the Bush of the Dead, and it's almost like an Alice in Wonderland-esque adventure through all these crazy gods and people there, and they're all dead, and there's ghosts that follow him, and there's a point where like a bunch of dead babies chase after him, and it's just absolutely craziness, and it's just a blast. Or even like more kind of semi-recent, I think it was the 70s, is Roland Topper's The Tenant, which is probably the highlight of my year reading this book. It's just...
Wait, is it from the 60s?
Yeah, Roman Polanski did a movie, which I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, that was Polanski's movie before he did Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, and it's just such a great book, and there's an edition somewhere out there where Ligotti did a introduction, and so like Ligotti really appreciates this, and it's this amazing like dark disturbing tale about somebody that moves into person who's in a coma, moves into their apartment, and all the people in this like apartment complex are trying to drive him mad, and so they're doing all these just insane things, and he just is going crazier and crazier, and it's just it's been awesome to see. So like this year, I mean, like I think what's cool is one, digging into like older stuff and realizing, and this is almost a direct quote from Nicole Cushing at StokerCon, but just talking about how like Bizarro, the idea of Bizarro and kind of more like wackier stuff isn't like a new idea. They've been doing it forever. It's one of those things that's kind of buried that we don't all see, and it's hard to find because these books, it's not like they're just printing, old editions of books like now all the time. So it's fun to kind of hunt those down and read those, but just also seeing the strange in like how writers back then were really digging in and exploring just really out there ideas when you compare to kind of what's the more famous literature of the time, or even like up to even now. It's no shade against any other book that has come out, but like they all kind of have a same theme. So it's always fun to find something that's just really bizarre and out there. And that's my year has been reading a lot of that stuff. And I can think of things that have come out recently that can fit into that too, which I might talk about a little bit later. But I think it's been such a cool thing to discover this year, is just these really old, bizarre stories and the way people were just putting out things that like were going in directions you had no idea and didn't expect and didn't follow that kind of whatever Victorian model or whatever, was out at the time. And like it, so that's been that's been one of the highlights of this year, is finding some wacky, weird stuff and really enjoying it.
Honestly, some of that stuff you talked about sounds really awesome. Yeah. Like I picked up the Man Without the Transit Pass.
Oh, I'm so glad. That one, yes, that's on my list too.
That book was fantastic.
It's that one's another one that's just so crazy. I did not know what to expect, but when you're opening stories about a man battling the fact that he went to the bathroom in a train, you just can't go wrong.
Vitlame, what's one thing from you so far?
I am gonna spare you the Baldur's Gate rant this time. Even though I love this game so much, and I'm super happy that it was longlisted for the BAFTA Awards.
And it won Game of the Year.
And won Game of the Year. And
all the Spider-Man 2 fans are very salty about it.
I don't give a crap because they don't know how to play turn-based games.
Honestly, before, I don't mean to cut you off, Hitler. I will say this. I'm super excited to play Spider-Man 2. The game looks awesome, but I know me and I know games. Baldur's Gate 3 fucking deserve Game of the Year.
Oh yes, definitely. When they put so much love into this for 6 years and they're still listening to the community. Chef's kiss. So good. Anyway, I still am thinking about the one book that I read this year. We didn't talk about it on the show, but I did recommend it and mention it at one point when we were recording this year. It's R.A. Busby's Corporate Body.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
I love that book. Like, I was just going through my Goodreads my reading challenge, which I'm definitely not going to finish this year, but oh well. And it's basically the only book so far that I actually gave 5 stars. The other ones that I've the other ones that I've read, like, they've been good, but they were not they did not crawl into my skin as much as this one did. And I love that about horror. Like, the one that makes you physically feel weird shit, that's a 5-star book for me.
Yep.
And this one did it on the very first fucking page. It just started to say you're starting to feel that scratch, aren't you? And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I'm like, oh no, I feel scratch. What's happening? And then it feels like your skin's there's something crawling under your skin. I'm like, stop it. So
that's a good sign.
It's a really good sign. And I breezed through it. It's a short read. It's a good novella, length. I think it's around at least over 100 pages. And you just breeze right through it. The how she writes the narrative is it's written in first point of view. you get into that person's head, and you kind of feel like you are the one who are experience everything, and it just really tells you a lot about capitalism and corporate and being a corporate body. Like, if you ever want to go and, like, if you're short on cash and you want to try like different weird pharmaceutical shit, maybe don't after reading this story. There are other ways. You can open up an OnlyFans and photograph your feet. You're gonna get more cash than trying some weird new medicine that will fuck up your body.
That is hilarious.
Just sell some butthole pictures.
Or that, yeah. And you can just do that by just, flexing your like bicep, and you can just take a photo of that, and it looks like a butt crack.
Yeah.
You guys didn't know?
I did, but
are you guys trying it now?
Say that.
Is that a new game to play? Bicep or butt?
Yeah. You didn't know? It's a huge thing here in Iceland.
Is it really?
No, of course not.
That's what all the kids are doing.
No.
All the cool kids are doing it.
No. I remembered this like from 2 years ago or something.
No, sir, it's not my butt. It's just my bicep. A really close-up picture, I swear.
Yeah, if you flex it, you can actually create the illusion of a butt crack.
Oh, that makes me happy.
I mean, I'm all for spreading joy this season.
And never mind, I won't say it.
Oh, and spreading butt cracks maybe too?
Oh, that was great.
Oh,
Yeah.
So good.
Best part of the year.
Definitely butt cracks.
Butt cracks.
Yeah, so I definitely I will always read any books or any stories written by Abyssmas because he really manages to like let the stories just like hang around, like linger in your head for a really long time. And like, for example, one of my favorite short stories ever, it's her Holes story, which was like dealt with trypophobia. I think it's called that. Like fear of holes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That story is fucked up. And again, I still think about it from time to time because it was horrifying. But still in such a good way that I'm like, I'm never gonna look at trypophobia the same ever again.
Yeah.
Or I'm never gonna look at strawberries ever again the same. Doesn't I mean, it's not gonna stop me from eating it, but yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited. I really hope that she will like bring out more stories because I am definitely one of those people that will jump at the chance and read it as soon as possible. And people should definitely check that out.
Nice.
I don't have any, like, nothing else comes to mind. Like I don't know, like TV show wise, there's nothing really that like blew my mind this year. Or am I the only one?
I don't know. Like it's funny for listeners trying to think about what happened this year. It's like a lot, but then not a lot. I don't know. I don't remember everything.
Yeah.
I feel like this year TV show. I mean, I'm sure there was very popular shows that came out, and I'm just drawing a complete blank on them.
This is the bad thing about consuming all this media because there's too much of it that you're like, how am I supposed to remember all of the things that were good if there's too much of it?
Right. Oh man.
I do remember, like, if people are because I've been ranting about Baldur's Gate 3 for like the past month or so. if people are like curious about how like Dungeons and Dragon works, or like in this like or this kind of like fantasy world, they should definitely check out The Legend of Vox Machina. That's on
Yes.
Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah. Didn't season 2 come out this year? That was
Yeah,
great.
it did.
It did. It was really good.
Yeah, it was really good. That's why I'm like
I was gonna say
playing into it.
So my microphone for some reason froze. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I was trying to say Last of Us was one of the huge shows of 2023
That was
when that show was coming out.
Oh yeah, I still haven't watched it. Rich, shut up.
Villemay.
I'm not ready to cry my eyes out yet.
I'm always ready to cry my eyes out.
I might do it this Christmas vacation.
Also, we did get the first 4 episodes of season 2 of Invincible.
Yeah, that did
Those are
come
pretty.
out.
Those are pretty awesome.
But The Consultant that came out, that was fun.
That was fun. Wasn't amazing, but it was fun.
Yeah, I'm sure something else did, and people are like, "You guys are not remembering this."
Ted Lasso, I thought had a good final season.
Oh, there you go.
I like Ted Lasso. Hey, listen. Ted Lasso's a good
everybody
fucking
does.
show.
I think I'm the only one that doesn't. So, and I haven't even seen it. Just
because you're a grump.
I am a big grump. Show me more.
So you have no joy. What else was there? There was a lot of stuff that came out this year, but I will say, my favorite book of this year is actually not a horror book, but I do want to say my favorite horror book of the year was Soft Targets by Carson Winter.
Oh,
excellent.
Nice.
That was a really fucking great book.
That was.
Love the hell out of it.
Yes.
I don't want to give too much of that book away. I know we had Carson on the podcast, did a whole episode around it and stuff too. But like, if you want a really good office workplace horror novel, Soft Targets. It's fucked up, but it's really good. But my favorite book of the year was Small Mercies by Dennis Lehane.
Oh yeah, I remember you talking about that.
And that was that book. I still think of that book every week. Like, it's honestly, it's probably my favorite Lehane book now. It's a really powerful book, but pretty much the concept of it is like, it follows a very stereotypical Irish mother named Mary Pat, who grew up in Dorchester, Boston, and in the 1970s, they began a program that were busing inner city kid. They were pretty much kind of taking to put black kids on buses to send them to other schools to get better education. And there was a really big racial clash between black Bostonians and white Bostonians. And things got very heated and very racist. Lots of riots happened. Lots of bad things happened. And Mary Pat is our main character, and she's a single Irish mom, functioning alcoholic, chain smoker. You know, the best of the best, the salt of the earth.
Yeah.
What how we say they are. And she works at a factory, and one day her daughter goes out with friends, and the next morning Mary Pat wakes up and her daughter never came home. And they're fine, and all the news is an incident happened last night where a black kid was killed. And this black kid that was killed was Mary Pat's co-worker's son. And Mary Pat can't find her daughter. And she's afraid her daughter is caught up in the murder of this black kid. So she begins trying to find her daughter and starts digging and trying to find out what happened. And as she's going through this journey, she has to confront her own racism, where she never considered herself like an extremely racist person. She was always friendly to people who weren't her kind, but she also always looked down on them as well. And the part of the book is realizing how she's taking on her parents' racism and pass this racism down to her own children. And now all this other stuff is happening. So a lot of the novel has to deal with her confronting her own racist tendencies and realizing the damage that she's inherited from her family and how she's passed this damage on to her children and how this damage is now including and damaging and hurting even more people around them.
Sounds very intense.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. It is really intense. It is a really good book, though. Like, I'd strongly recommend it. Dennis Lehane, I know Dennis Lehane's a big name. We tend to talk more about this on this podcast. But Dennis Lehane, I think, is one of the best mystery thriller writers living today. Like, the dude just has a way with words that, like, I don't know. Like, I just find his books to be super readable, super enjoyable, and I love them.
Nice.
But I have a few more things I want to talk about, but I'll pass it over to Matt for now.
Yeah. So this year, I think we've had quite a few really good books come out that I quite enjoyed. We had 2 Danger Slater books. We had House of Rot and Little Miss Apocalypse. And you can never go wrong with Danger Slater. And so that was a great twofer this year. Lots of fun. House of Rot felt a little bit more, I don't want to say grown up, but a little less his more bizarro wackiness. Not to say that there isn't bizarro wackiness in House of Rot. There is plenty in there, but it felt just a little. It's fun to see his growth, and I think House of Rot is definitely showing that. We also had Jonathan Rabb's Project Vampire Killer, which was his stuff is just I just adore everything he writes, so that might make me a little biased on it, but it's a fun look at somebody trying to make a Hammer vampire movie while at the same time something is happening in this castle that they're filming at, and we have army vet trying to, as a security guard, trying to help protect them and deal with this craziness, but also dealing with cult stuff and just weird alien type stuff. So you get a lot of his broader ideas and everything like that kind of thrown in there. But that was another great one. You know, we had a new Laird Barron book come out this year, which you can't complain about at all. New Isaiah Coolidge story from him. The Wind, what is it? The Wind Below How. I'm going to tell you because I have it right in front of me. If you just let me scroll through this list, and I think I might have passed it. But there's a new Laird Barron book out, I swear. So you can never go wrong with that. Yeah, it's just been awesome seeing all the new stories come out. Nicole Cushing, I know we just talked about The Plastic Priest, but it's always a good year when you have a new Nicole Cushing book out, and that one's just a blast. Listen to that episode because we talked all about it, and it's just so much fun. So it's great seeing people come out with new stuff, and just it was a good year for all horror books and indie horror and everything like that. So I think that was one of my big joys of this year, was seeing all the people. And actually it's funny because a lot of these authors, now that I'm thinking about it, these are people who've been around for a while, having lots of books out, which is good to see that they're still putting out new stuff, and that new stuff is just as good as their older stuff. I think is awesome to see. And they're doing things that are all of these are pretty much just a little different than what they've done before. So that's a good sign too, people trying new things. So yeah, that was it's been a good year for books coming out.
It has been. I was actually going to talk about a short story collection next. But nice. Make you think of anything else for yourself?
Yeah, I haven't finished it yet, but I still I want to say, and I really enjoyed Todd Keesland's short story collection, The Cold, Black, and Infinite.
Oh, that was so good.
Right?
When you go back and listen to our episode, Todd, we talk about a few of those stories.
Yeah, and he's such a sweet guy. So I'm definitely going to finish the short story collection, like hopefully before the year ends, because these, like, the stories that he wrote, like, we did talk about on the episode that he is like more on the bleak side, but the ones that I picked, they were surprisingly like funny, joyful, and they had a glimmer of hope in them.
Which is funny because you usually choose the most fucked up stories over top
Right?
collections.
I was so happy with my choices. I was like, yes, finally, I'm not gonna break down and cry in the middle of an episode.
I'm not gonna read a story about a man fucking
Yeah.
like the real thing.
Yeah, right?
God.
So yeah, like I'm still thinking about that that Hallmark horror story that he wrote because it was really fun. And he did mention it in our episode about the zombie story that he wrote in the collection. I read that one and it was really good. It was the one that he did for like George Romero anthology, right?
Yes.
Like it happened around Black Friday.
Yes.
It was a really, really good story. I really liked it.
Nice.
So like, yeah, I've like finished 4 stories and I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely reading more from him. And I'm definitely going to finish the story. And like, I've read Devil's Creek by him and I want to read Scanlines, but at the same time, I am definitely not going to be in the right headspace for it.
No.
Which is fine.
Scanlines is intense.
Yeah, I know, and I'm probably not ready for it yet. But I have it. I have it in my on my shelf. So like when I'm ready, I can still grab it. But it doesn't really matter because I know that whatever Todd writes, it's always going to be really good, and it's always going to be really thought provoking, and either have like a bittersweet thing that you have to think about, or it's going to be bleak as fuck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is nice. So I definitely encourage people if they want to take if they haven't taken a look at Todd's works, that his short collection is a good starter.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and Todd's just a really, really talented writer as well.
Yeah.
So I will say, keeping on short story collections, for me, I think the author's name real quick. It's a new Valancourt collection.
Oh, is that The Secret Life of Insects?
Yeah, The Secret Life of Insects.
Oh, yeah.
I knew right where you were going.
Yeah, Secret Life of Insects by Bernardo Esquinza?
Sure.
Esquinca? I can't pronounce Spanish. I apologize. But this collection is incredible. Like,
I've been hearing.
It's honestly one of the best weird fiction and horror collections I've read in a while. Every story hits. The stories get under your skin. They're super creepy. They're not too fucked up, but they stick with you for a very long time. Like, and plus, like, Valancourt, like, I just want to talk about Valancourt. They're doing some really great work.
Yes.
And nobody is really giving them the credit they deserve, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people are, but maybe not as much as they deserve.
They deserve so much more than what they're getting.
Yeah.
So much more. But I don't want to spoil any of this collection. Just know it's weird fiction. Most of the stories are pretty short. Like, there's a couple novella-length stories in there, but most of the stories are like 5 pages, and then they're done. But even though they're so short, they stick with you for a very long time. And also keeping with Valancourt, I would also say another collection I'm quite enjoying is a John the Balladeer by Manly Wade Wellman. And those stories are just fun. Like, they're just fun, pulpy horror adventure stories. And I love them so much. So much. And plus it has a foreword by Carl Eber Wagner.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
I'm still waiting for my fucking Manly Wade Wellman box set. the hardcover box that I ordered. I still haven't got it yet, but they did add in the last volume is a copy of Carl Edward Wagner's eulogy for Manly Wayne Wellman.
Oh, that's nice.
So I feel it's kind of touching to kind of read because they're like best friends. like Carl Edward Wagner and Manly Wayne Wellman were like the Laird Barrett and John Lankin of like the 1970s.
That's awesome.
And so I think it would be cool to kind of read his eulogy because knowing how close they were. But seriously, if you want some good short fiction, you can't go wrong with either John the Balladeer or The Secret Life of Insects. And one other thing I want to shout out that I have been reading this last year is a manga series called Goodnight Poon Poon. I'm not gonna talk about Blood on the Tracks. Vit LeMay and I have talked so much about Blood on the Tracks.
Yep.
If you're not on it, you're fucking up. Get on it. It's fucked up. It's really good. It's really sad. You'll
It's
cry.
super sad. Yeah.
You'll cry. You'll get scared. But Goodnight Poon Poon, it sounds like a sweet series with that title, doesn't it? Poon Poon,
It does.
the character's name? It does. The Japanese name is Oyasumi Poon Poon, which sounds even cuter than Goodnight Poon Poon, even though it means the same thing. Oyasumi Poon Poon. This series is fucking sad. This is one of the saddest fucking series I've ever read in my life. It is devastating. It is honestly one of the most devastating things I've ever read in my life. Have you read Goodnight Poon Poon, Vit LeMay?
No, because as we were talking about with The Last of Us, I do not want to feel sad right now.
That's so sad. It's so sad. The premise is it follows a boy named Poon Poon, and everybody in the manga is illustrated as normal people, but Poon Poon's illustrated as a bird. And it's kind of how he sees himself, essentially. And the manga follows Poon Poon as he grows up. And the mangaka, the author of the series, he said his goal with Poon Poon was to write a coming of age story where the main character never had any chance of being a functional member of society. And you're just watching this innocent kid have all the worst things happen to him and around him that turn him into an abusive and cynical adult that unleashes trauma on other people due to the life that he's lived. And you just read him from his childhood to his adulthood as the series continues. And it's really well done. Like it's really well written. The illustrations are incredible, but the subject matter is so fucking heavy that like you just feel bad while you're reading it. It is really good though. Like I really like things that are emotionally traumatic. I think that might say something about myself more than anything else. Matt likes poop. I like emotional trauma.
Spread that rumor.
But like it's a really good story. It's written well, and they do some interesting things with like our Poon Poon character keeps on seeing a man called God who calls himself God, and this man is kind of the person who's pushing Poon Poon to become a more worse person as the series progresses. But just to know that, like, if you're going to read this series, one, the mangas are shrink wrapped for a reason when they're in stores, and two, it's really, really sad. Like, you're not going to leave these books feeling good about anything, but they're really good. So,
well, that's good.
That's my recommendation from that. Any more from you, Matt?
Yeah, I think the only thing I really kind of wanted to finish up with is just saying, like, we've had some great guests this year and a lot of fun on our show. Like I had mentioned before. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say the guests too. Like Nicole Cushing was great.
Yeah, it was awesome having Nicole on to get to talk to her about her new book. I mean, I had a blast with that. You brought up Carson Winter. That was a very fun, very fun episode about Thomas Ligotti. It's definitely worth checking out.
We talked about a lot of poop in that episode. Matt was very happy with that episode. There was so much poop talk. Matt was in fucking heaven during that episode.
Oh my God, that's so true. We had on, I am going to tell you who exactly we had on. We had Daniel Brahm on talking about Robert Aikman's Ringing the Changes, and that was awesome. And I'm so sad I didn't keep up with my Aikman reading and descriptions of stories. So maybe I'll do that for 2024, just to give you guys some fun Aikman views from my point of view. But yeah, you talked about Todd Kiesling, and we had
Haley Piper came.
Haley Piper. We had Matthew Wilson on. So it just was awesome. It was great. It was great to talk to some people and have them on, and I always have a blast when we have writers pop up to talk.
I did enjoy our episode with Matt Wilderson when we were talking about like ghost stories and folklore and stuff.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was fun to hear, and he had some good spooky stories, which was fun. So
yes,
yeah, that was that's the way I want to end out the year, is just saying like thanks to everybody that popped on the show or listened.
Yeah, no, I agree. Vit LeMay, do you have anything else you want to recommend?
Read more books. Read more horror books by indie authors, because as we now know, it's really hard to get noticed by people because social media is just really going down the drain. So anything really helps. So just read stories by indie authors, because we always bring out the weird shit.
Yes,
I agree. And one thing I would also like to add too is Abyss is going to be back in 2024. I almost said 2023.
Yeah,
Abyss 2023. Abyss will be back in 2024, and we have. I honestly, full honesty, I don't have anything planned yet. This year has been a very hectic year. I think taking some time to rest and recuperate will kind of get us into 2024 feeling fresh. And I really want to try to work on Abyss and kind of push it to the next level. My goal for us is to at least get nominated by the This Is Horror Awards.
Fair.
Like, come on, you know we can do it.
We could definitely try. I'm down for trying.
We can even try to get nominated. Like, I want us to I want us to get the Abyss out there more. And I know I've been slacking. It's been a rough couple years for all of us, but we seriously, all you guys who listen, we all love you. We all love you.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of you. I'm a proud dad of our listeners. So sit down, sport. Sit down, sport. And listen, because Abyss is going to be back next year, and we're going to be better than ever.
So make sure you got your potatoes.
Make sure you got your potatoes.
And your butt pics.
You got your butt pics. Make sure you got your poop. Make sure you got Godzilla. And we'll see everybody in 2024. Well, before I sign off, where can listeners get in touch with you, Matt?
Oh yeah, I guess we can do that too. Twitter, Brandenburg DM, Blue Sky, my name, and I think that's about it.
Vit LeMay, I know you're taking a break. Still taking a break?
Yeah, I might go back in the new year, but Yeah, also on Twitter at @VitlyMyS, on Blue Sky at VitlyMyMist. I really need to be more active there though. And you can find all information about my books on my website, vitlymymistauthor.com.
Yep, and you can follow me on X. You can follow Abyss on X with Added to Staring. You can follow me on Blue Sky under my name, and I'm also starting Threads. Look for Abyss on Threads. I haven't made an account yet, but I plan on doing that soon. But I'll be on Threads, Abyss will be on Threads, and we'll be pushing forward. And this is Richard Gerlach saying, keep staring.